Here we are. My name is Alan Roberts. I hope everybody had a fabulous Thanksgiving. I know I did. We already celebrated Thanksgiving with our son the other week, and Crystal and I just chilled at home. We made traditional foods, but not that much of it. Had an amazing leftovers. Crystal was a genius when it comes to converting leftovers into new meals. We had turkey noodle soup with sweet potato noodles. It was just an amazing weekend. So I hope all of you had a very good and enjoyable weekend. Also, I did want to let everybody know here is our Cyber Monday deal. This is 6 months for $1.99 or not $1.99 for $199.99, $1.99. Shut the fuck up, Alan. Jesus Christ. But this deal is also going to be in the comments in the area below, and I'll put it in the chat when we're done too. Today, we're going to talk about how Dr. Eric Berg came out with a video this morning about how the truth is starting to come out. Now, I want to say, if this is not your cup of tea, I understand, but we are talking about health here, and health is the goal. That's what I'm assuming for all of you. Health is the goal. That's why I do what I do. I am 1,779 days, no binge, absolutely no binge, and I can tell you this because I have created something that helps me track that. I have a binge-free tracker on something I've created that all of you will be. No kidding, no. It's $199.99. Period. Jesus Christ. Anyway, and that is a super low deal. But I also wanted to bring up to the forefront that we are starting to see some very interesting interactions, right? The healthcare industry at large is definitely under fire. I have spoken a lot about this. A lot of people have asked me to do videos on Dr. Eric Berg, and here's the thing. I normally don't do videos on people who I mostly agree with about stuff. He does depend a little bit more on gallbladder and bile health than I do. He also does the body type theory thing, which I'm not a big fan of because your body can be radically altered by the environment it's in. But he does also believe that insulin is the root of almost all disease. I would argue that that's pretty provable. If they would actually do the science, when you think about it, insulin resistance leads to weight gain, diabetes, inflammation, PCOS, fatty liver. And it causes, anytime you cause yourself to be put into a state of hyperinsulinemia, hyperinsulinemia is bad for your blood vessels. That's what a lot of people most of the time say, most of the time attribute towards the blood vessels in your arteries being hurt, and then they blame it on cholesterol afterwards because the cholesterol shows up to repair the damage that was done by the hyperinsulinemia. But I understand where most people do not want to face up to these things. I get it, right? I mean, most people don't want to talk about these things, but that doesn't make them less true, right? That doesn't make any of this less true at all, because in reality, there's just no way people can tell me that the healthcare industry actually knows what they're doing. If you break your arm, go get it checked out. Go to a doctor, get some x-rays. That's great. But if you research the healthcare industry, the modern healthcare industry, the Rockefeller-based Flexner Report healthcare industry, you will see how this is not actually how it's supposed to be. Don't get me wrong. Allopathic medicine has its its purposes. Just like I said, if I break an arm, I'm going to go to a doctor. But if I have type 2 diabetes, you should come see me. I can guarantee you this. Guarantee it. My wife and I have reversed more cases of type 2 diabetes together than the average medical practice in just a few years. I mean, we have reversed type 2 diabetes in dozens of people because it is reversible. They don't even tell you that when you go to the doctor. And now he's called Dr. Eric Berg. I just want to point out to everybody, he is a chiropractor, if that makes any difference to you. I've been to a chiropractor before. It's not something I would do all the time. I take care of my own health my own way. I'm only on one pharmaceutical, that's TRT, which I actually need to take today because I forgot yesterday. But we're going to go over this video of his where he starts talking about the truth is starting to come out, because the truth is starting to come out. people wonder, like they truly wonder, like why. Like, I want all of you to sit and think. If the truth about these things that we're about to talk about, if it's so easy to disprove the non-doctors about this shit. First of all, there are a lot of doctors that said it. Like one of the most prolific public health scientists in the world, Dr. John Ioannidis, like was silenced. He was the leading expert in public health in the world, and they silenced him when they should have been listening to him. But let's get on with this. This is Dr. Eric Berg. Add stage. And here we go.
Discuss something that I really have never talked about in the video, and it has to do with censorship and what happened to.
Oops. Sorry.
A video. So I took down all my cancer videos and I put everything on Rumble. Anything related to vitamin D and natural immunity, I had to take those down. I had to take down
vitamin D and natural immunity. Got both Mark and I in trouble in the beginning of the pandemic. Mark was literally almost kicked off of YouTube for discussing true things about vitamin D from an actual study about vitamin D and influenza. He didn't even mention COVID. And I talked about natural immunity. It was insane to watch doctors completely forget about natural immunity, completely forget about it. If we did not have the ability to develop natural immunity, you realize we'd all be dead, right? Like all of us. The human race would have never made it this far. It's kind of insane to think about it.
Anything related to COVID, like there was a whole thing. So I had to just take all these things down, and then they were going to give me a free pass. But what moved in was medical. And so instead of, if you typed in something to find me, you had to kind of go way deep because they had Mayo Clinic, Harvard, all these different sites. And so I didn't know what was happening at the time, but now I know exactly what was happening. They used COVID as a Trojan horse to turn and rebrand natural health. And so today, I actually brought on a terrorist, or at least someone that was labeled as a terrorist, a part of the Dirty Dozen. He's a very good friend of mine, a beautiful human being, Sayer G. Welcome, Sayer G.
Thanks so much for having me, Dr. Berg.
I just have a lot of admiration for you, what you've been through. But here you have this amazing channel. I interviewed you years ago, and you had this amazing channel with all this research, trying to help people with natural remedies from sunlight to botanicals.
Just so everybody knows, and I'll stop it when I see this, but because again, I really do not watch a lot of YouTube. I'm busy. I'm busy doing other things, developing other things. But I've talked about this for a while. The sun is not the problem. Sunscreen will give you cancer because it has carcinogens in it, carcinogenic things in it. Sunscreen is actually very unhealthy for you. Not to mention that with the rise of sunscreen and sunglasses and everything like that, you can pretty much map the rise in skin cancer along with the rise in using sunscreen when you go out in the sun. And we actually go out in the sun less time. If you think we would have developed over eons to basically not be able to be out in the sun when literally that was almost the majority of what we did when we were evolving, you got to be a special kind of stupid to believe that. I understand that it's propaganda and you're told wear sunglasses, wear sunscreen, it's bad for you, the sun, you're going to get cancer. It doesn't make any logical sense. We've forgotten completely about logic. We are sicker than we've ever been, and we have more healthcare than we've ever had. Think about that. We are sicker than we've ever been, and we have more healthcare than we have ever had. Oh, self-tanner is a huge issue also. I agree. Here we go.
All sorts of things. And somehow they targeted you as one of the Dirty Dozen. And can you tell us a little bit about, did they classify you under terrorist or what?
Yes, it sounds like a story too strange to be true, but it did happen. And yes, I, along with others, were basically labeled as domestic extremists. And the DHS actually used the phrase terrorists at one point to describe those who were advocates of natural health, dietary lifestyle modification for making your life better and healthier, as well as those who were standing up for medical freedom.
Yes.
So that did happen in the window between 2021 until, really until the latest shift in the power structure.
Before we get into that shift, let's talk about what it was like. You had a website, you had a business, you had a YouTube channel. They just deplatformed you?
Well, actually, interestingly, as you pointed out, many people were starting to see censorship from the perspective of Google basically taking search results offline in 2019. And I know you were probably one of those because you, like me, have spent your life just sharing information that we're excited to get out there. And so Google did their digital book burning event.
This is actually kind of true. Sunglasses actually hurt your eyes because your body dysregulates based on 2-don register. Your eyes is seeing something different than the body. Here's another way that it hurts you. Sunglasses, especially polarized sunglasses, stop ultraviolet light from hitting your retina. Your retina, when it is exposed to ultraviolet light, then tells your body to produce that it's going to be out in the sun. So your body prepares for it and releases mitochondria. So, like, wearing sunglasses causes you to get sunburned easier. I don't wear sunglasses at all. I wear a hat sometimes because I have very blue eyes, and the sun is very hard for me to take sometimes, especially while driving is when I'll wear a hat. But it is it is not a great thing to be wearing polarized, especially sunglasses. But they got to sell those $300 Oakleys, right? And sunscreen. Sunscreen is slathering chemicals on your body. How can it be less cancerous, including the UV? No shit. It makes no sense.
And in 2019, it was August, where 99% of all natural health results when you search Google were removed overnight. And so that was the beginning of what we saw being kind of a nightmare when it comes to free speech and being able to share alternative views of health, which include natural, integrative, functional medicine. But it was really the Disinfo Dozen campaign that was initiated in May of 2021 that put us on the so-called hit list when it comes to being attacked.
Let's just take a look at your crimes, okay? Disagreeing with consensus. So when we talk about consensus, are they talking about really scientific proof, or is it pretty much just whatever they agree on? I mean, it's like whatever the medical profession agrees on is consensus, right?
I think you're really hitting the nail on the head. In fact, peer review is supposed to really produce a consensus on certain topics. So what I've done with greenmedinfo.com is gather, at this point, 100,000 published peer-reviewed studies in support of natural health. So you'd think that the consensus actually supports sharing that information. But because essentially we have what I think is better described as eminence-based medicine versus evidence-based medicine.
Yes.
Historically, the CDC has basically made pronouncements, sort of like proclamations versus, hey, here's all the research saying that ketogenic diet, for example, is not healthy for you. They don't do that. They tend to rely on people's blind faith and authority.
Yeah, and I think if we just look at the essence of what happened, it's because I looked through the policy.
Just to stop real quick. And so one, I don't get copyright stricken, but two, and Dr. Berg, if you see this, please, don't copyright strike me. I'm not trying to, harsh on you. But when you look at that, it's what I always say. If you don't like my takes, my science-backed, statistic-backed takes on COVID, public health, obesity, anything like that, I challenge you to show me where I'm wrong. Produce the data, produce the study. Tell me where you feel I am wrong. I will gladly listen. We can debate about it. But COVID was not a world killer. Like, the way they even did the math at the very beginning was ridiculous. The way they did the math at the very beginning is they took people that they knew or that they said had COVID, and then they divided it, the number of deaths, by those numbers. That is a case fatality rate. And just so you understand, they didn't really start pushing the PCR test until they realized not enough people were dying to meet their needs. So remember how when people weren't dying as much, they all of a sudden switched to, oh my God, we have so many cases, 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 as if a case for me was the same as a case for a 90-year-old or a case for a 13-year-old. Like, just because there's a disease out there that's very deadly to the people that normally do the dying, which are elderly people and morbidly obese people, that does not mean the world should have to stop for them. That means that they should take precautions. And if you're still fat now, you never took COVID seriously. If you're still fat now, I will help you lose weight. You can take advantage of the sale we're running right here. I have no issues helping anybody. It's what we do. We've helped thousands of people in our coaching, and we've got something truly, truly, truly amazing coming up that I would suggest that if you have ever thought about getting our coaching before, you do so now, because these prices are going to go up. Frankly, what you're going to pay for 6 months with this is probably what we're going to charge for a month. And there's a reason for it, because we're going to kind of a new platform, and I can't wait to unveil it, just so everybody understands. But I do really, and if you sign up now, you're grandfathered in. If you don't, you pay the new price. It's just how that shit works. But also, like, we just got to wonder about why people basically will not understand this stuff. Like, it was just math. It's like people didn't want to believe in reality. That's where the term reality exists. Get there faster came from, because people were not falling over dead in the street. Like, and even if they were, I'm just going to say this. I am going to say this for the record, just so everybody understands. COVID could have actually been as deadly as they claimed it was, which I believe they claimed a 3.34 infection fatality rate, which is, by the way, about 150% greater than the Spanish flu. Because the Spanish flu, I believe, had a case infection fatality rate, or 50% larger. It had a case infection fatality rate of 2.24, I believe. COVID turned out to be about 0.1. 0.05, by the way, for people, or 0.23, depending on which study you go by. If you go by people that are not fat and exercise and stuff like that, it's about 0.01. And that's just data, math. It's calculations. And they knew this early on. The seroprevalence study by Dr. John Ioannidis was published on the World Health Organization. It's still there, by the way. And it was study done in early 2020, published in 2021, that showed that for people under the age of 70, the infection fatality rate of COVID was 0.05 if you're under the age of 70. That is less than the seasonal flu, by the way. And for overall, it was 0.23 or 0.28 corrected. So people need to grasp that this is just data. This is just reality. So it's not like, I wasn't like, oh my God, these poor people are dying. No, I mean, I'm a very realistic, very blunt person. The people that were dying were the people that do the dying. Now, of course, there's some, oh my God, well, I knew a friend who was very healthy in his 20s and he passed away from COVID. First of all, they were labeling just about anybody that passed away as passed away with COVID. There's even people that died of car accidents and gunshot wounds listed as died of COVID early on. That's a fact also, which then skews the numbers, because now even the numbers I just gave you of 0.05 for people under the age of 70 are skewed with a massive overinflation of the people that actually died of COVID, because they didn't actually die of COVID, they died with it. And we should not have to make the distinction of died with it or died of it. We shouldn't. It should be died of it only. And that would have been much, 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 much less. So let's keep going with Dr. Eric Berg.
The YouTube channel policy on misinformation. And that is pretty much, if you disagree with consensus, then that is misinformation.
Yep.
I think you and I and everyone watching would agree that science is supposed to disagree. We made all the major discovery through disagreement. And now we have to, this has just gotten to the point where it's just so like, what planet, am I in the Matrix? What is that going on? Even like in the 21st edition of this book right here, the U.S. dispensary book, where this is written in 1926, this was a medical book, and like over 75% of the remedies were botanicals, right? Now, 0. So pretty much now here we are doing what medicine did way back then. And boy, it's like we get attacked. We get silenced. Yeah. You can't talk about certain things. And it's fascinating, because it's almost like, what side of science are you on? Are you part of our group of science, or are you on the real science? So it's really been frustrating.
And that's, I kind of got to disagree with you, because there's no side of science. When you say the science is settled, you show yourself to be an ignorant fool. When you say that, like, you are the science, like Dr. Fauci did, which, by the way, that man should be in jail for many, 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 many things. Many things. He should be in jail for many things. Many. Like, I would prefer under the jail, but many things. For, if anything else, just treason. The man openly told you and suggested that you should not be able to have people at your house. You should only be able to have like 2 people at your house and eat outside and shit like that. Like, we somehow gave the federal government the idea, because, well, many people out there, and if you're one of them, I'm very sorry, but many of you out there are weak as fuck and thought that the government should be able to tell you where you can and can't go, how many people you should be able to have at your house, that you have to wear a diaper over your fucking face. They do not have the constitutional authority to do that. They created powers, special powers out of no place. And yes, that does include fucking Trump. They created these special powers to be able to tell us who is essential and non-essential. The government should never even think about wording things like that. They should never even think about doing that. And the government to think that they should be able to tell you, well, we have a stay-at-home order or this and that. That is unbelievably un-American and unbelievably unconstitutional. And to even think to take this further, that the federal government under Biden took taxpayer dollars to pay social media entities to silence taxpayers is treasonous. Everybody involved should have already faced 6 men, in a squad, I'll say. That's just how that reality should be. But here we go. Let's keep going with Dr. Berg.
Navigating through all this, but I think someone like you that's been right in the middle of it, literally destroyed your business, family, everything.
It was very much like an inquisition and persecution, which I found to be almost poetic because, as you rightly point out, today people think in terms of, well, let's trust the science, or science is settled. And that's not what science is, actually. It's more a methodology of discovery and coming to understand reality, through testing and retesting and changing your hypothesis. And so essentially what, I found is that we have instead what's really scientism, which is, I think, a religion that has actually devoured all other religions.
Yes.
During the, so-called declared pandemic, some call it a pandemic, what we saw was all our religious leaders, from the Dalai Lama to the Pope, saying, although we believe in ahimsa, we don't believe in using, let's say, diploid fetus-derived tissue and injecting that into you as a violation of pro-life. They said, in this case, it's that big of an emergency that we have to suspend all our religious beliefs because science knows better. And that is what I call medical monotheism. So scientism inexorably leads to medical monotheism, which means there's no heterodoxy. You can't diverge or dissent from the standard of care, or you have to essentially be eliminated. And that's really what happened. I was labeled.
Which, by the way, is just insane to me, especially because we are forced to have one type of accepted medical practice. We're forced to have one type, and that's crazy. Before the Flexner Report in 1910, which was produced by the Rockefeller Foundation, which the Rockefeller Foundation literally is what made the American Medical Association and later on a few other organizations also. It's wild. Like, they basically got rid of the competition. And if you don't understand why, it's because Rockefeller pretty much controlled all of America's oil at the time, and they had a bunch of byproducts, and they were able to turn those byproducts into pharmaceuticals. So what better way to control the industry is to remove all the competition and make it so it's allopathic or nothing, pharmaceutical or nothing. And if you don't believe me, one more time, we can do this. Go look it the fuck up. Look up the Flexner Report, look what it said, and understand that I can produce hundreds, likely, of studies that show that naturopathy, and especially certain compounds from nature, such as berberine, St. John's wort, nattokinase, things like that, are better than their synthetic counterparts that are produced by the pharmaceutical industry to basically mimic what they do. They just give you more side effects, such as metformin. Metformin has almost the same mechanisms as berberine, where berberine doesn't have the side effects. Berberine has been shown to even be more effective in helping with insulin resistance, blood glucose stabilization, those sorts of things, especially for women with PCOS, than metformin. And it doesn't have any of the side effects, but the side effects are brutal for metformin, which normally leads you to being on another medication. So just
the heritage,
reality exists.
They said off with his head, and essentially years of persecution because of my belief that you should be able to breathe without a mask, or you should be able to choose vitamin D and turmeric instead of a mandated pharmaceutical.
It's really sad.
Yes.
But on one hand, I'm glad it happened, and I'm going to tell you why. I want to just touch on this other organization. It's called
I'm glad it happened, says the man with 14.2 million followers. Good for you, motherfucker. I'm not that happy it happened. They fucking took an entire channel away from me and silenced this channel to the point where it's shadow banned like fucking crazy for me being right. And if you don't believe I was right, tell me what I was wrong about and produce the fucking data.
CCDH. Tell us about that organization. And it's a very tiny organization. I think they have 15 staff. They're out of the UK, but they've influenced a very large population in the US, at least, right?
Yeah, they actually started in 2018 in order to affect the elections in the UK, there was a candidate, Jeremy Corbyn, and he was, on the left, and they were basically saying he's an anti-Semite, so we have to cancel him. I think later it was found that that probably wasn't true, but it was a very effective mechanism to oust him. So originally it was the Labour Party in the UK that set this up for political reasons. And then when the pandemic happened, they shifted gears immediately and they used the same techniques, which included demonetizing opposition media. In the UK, it was called the Canary.
Yep. What does it stand for?
Oh, it's the Center for Countering Digital Hate, which is an Orwellian word, given they basically, spent many years inciting hatred against American free speech advocates who were all about medical choice and parental rights and religious freedoms.
They're against hate. Well, that's great. That sounds like a great organization to support. Digital hate, right? And that you're thinking, well, how does that connect to you? Like, how does it connect to health? Explain that to me.
Yeah, so I think what it essentially is it is what's known as a cutout. So certain intelligence and government adjacent NGOs are created so that they can essentially launder free speech suppression.
Let's move on here.
Because we have this great thing in the US.
Let's go to this.
Done a lot of reporting on 1899's Merck manual. It's amazing. It's full of natural healing items, from glandulars to, herbs that were indigenous here. And so, this is a ongoing tension that has been going on for really decades and maybe over 100 years, right?
What's really cool about this terrible topic is the happy ending. And I think this whole stress that occurred with you, and I think RFK was one of the dirty dozen as well, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was put on the list. And as you were pointing out, it's kind of a happy ending story, because look at where we find ourselves now.
Like, out of all the places they would not want him to be, right over HHS, like running the show. Wow, what a turn of events. How ironic. And what I'm noticing too, even with your channel now, because they actually re-platformed you, right? They kind of said, okay, now you can come back in. I'm sure they gave you a lot of apologies and they were really sorry about that. And they probably, made up the damage. I'm sure they did that.
Well, what's the most amazing about the reinstatement of the 3 accounts actually they took away from me 5 years ago is actually 4 years ago, was that they said that they looked at the community standards and they should never have removed our account, which is pretty remarkable given I have a federal civil rights lawsuit against big tech for this very thing. So they actually did us a really big favor by acknowledging that it was actually their Alphabet CEO a month before the reinstatement who said it was government that essentially coerced them to do these things, which is a convenient excuse because they're also looking for protection right now from the EU Digital Services Act and the UK Online Safety Bill, which is essentially big tech is feeling bullied by these censorship forces now, even though they were the ones that deployed it at scale. Millions of Americans experience this. But, looking at things now restoratively, I'm very happy they've done that. It's a really good sign that those who were defamed and deplatformed, like myself, are being restored, which is an appropriate thing, I think, for them to do.
Well, here's the happy ending into this whole thing, right? If it wasn't for what just occurred, I do not think we would have the explosion that I see right now in natural health. People want alternative. They want lifestyle changes. As you know, and a lot of other people know, 80 to 90% of most chronic disease related to lifestyle. Yet we only study, the research is only 1.9% of that. So it's a very underappreciated, ignored area in healthcare. But that being said, this is what people really want. They want to be able to use these natural things. They don't want to be on a polypharmacy of drugs. RFK right now where he is cleaning house. And it's so funny because some people will say like, oh, he's not a doctor. Well, that's because we need an attorney that can clean up the amount of unethical things that are going on in that department for years, the amount of corruption. We need to clean house. We do not need to keep things the same. We spend what, 4.9 trillion now on our healthcare? We have one of the worst rated healthcare systems in the world. So here we got RFK in it's just
it's actually it was $4.9 trillion in 2024. They're predicting it being somewhere between 5.6 and 5.7 trillion dollars this year, which is a massive increase and a massive amount of money just to begin with. If you start throwing on the fact that they're going to put everybody that they could possibly get on these GLP-1s, which is something that RFK is all of a sudden for, which is a little weird, by the way. We're going to see $7 trillion here in a year or two. $7 trillion to have the worst healthcare probably of all the modern nations. We should have the best healthcare. We don't, because we don't actually have healthcare. We have sick maintenance care. And I will say, What I do is healthcare. Hunger free and happy. That's healthcare. Giving you a drug to monitor your blood pressure, giving you a statin because they say your cholesterol's too high when they can't even prove that statins do anything, technically. That is sick management care. They deem you're sick and then they give you a management pill. They don't try to cure you. Because once again, I will say this. My wife and I have reversed more cases of type 2 diabetes than most actual medical practices, not doctors, practices. It's a couple people a year at least out of our clientele that get off all their medications. A couple people a year every year for the last 8.
This is like such a turn of events, and he's cleaning stuff up, and you and I are supporting that. And so I think we've had some wins recently. You want to mention a couple wins that are going on recently?
Well, I think you're absolutely correct that what's happened is that about 100 times more people are awake right now to the importance of bodily sovereignty as a nonpartisan, grassroots, global movement. Because without the right to determine what gets put into your body forcibly or, through nudges and coercion.
Statins give you erectile dysfunction. That's something, yes. But then they can give you a pill to help you with erectile dysfunction. See the plan there? See how that works? Statins also have been shown to be very closely linked to type 3 diabetes, which is also known as Alzheimer's, because it dries your brain out. Your brain is made up a lot of cholesterol, and if you have a cholesterol-lowering medication, cholesterol is like the building block for everything. Here's how fucking corrupt it is. They told you eggs were bad for you, and most people believed them. If I could never eat anything but one food again, it would be eggs, preferably duck eggs, because they do have the best choline. They have high in vitamins, protein, the fat you need. That's the food I would eat in predominance if I had to. If it was if I had to choose one food, that would be it. I'd be lean and lean and healthy,
Origin, you really don't have any other civil liberties because bodily sovereignty is the basis of all sovereignty.
Yep.
So I think that essentially what those who largely capitalized on this egregious violation of, I think it's essentially bodily sovereignty that occurred with the mRNA jabs, they're starting to wake up and realize that, wow, we can take back control of our health and our family's health, and they're embracing natural medicine and lifestyle changes and mindset at scale in a way that I could never have imagined. So we were just in Brussels launching the Make Europe Healthy Again Commission, which was an amazing event. And there is absolutely, I can see now, a spark that's been lit in every country, inspired by what's happening here. And I think that, ultimately, those who maybe were trying to do some harm or trying to profit off of the innocence and trust that people had in these institutions, they're starting to realize that, wow, we can take responsibility for our health and we can get empowered. And I'm just so happy to see it happen.
They're hungry for this. I mean, they want freedom to be able to use whatever they want for their health.
Absolutely. I think that they appreciate it more than ever because, there are still some really intense mandatory vaccine schedules, and the pharmaceutical agenda is extremely entrenched. But when you look at even the statistics of how many people embrace...
Think about how corrupt that is. There's mandatory vaccine schedules for children, right? Because if they were safe, would the vaccine industry need protection? You cannot. There's like an actually Vaccine Protection Act, meaning like it protects the vaccine companies. You cannot hold them accountable. Things like anything that's on a childhood schedule, you can't hold them accountable, which is very weird to me because if you're giving it to children, we should absolutely make sure it's safe. If you say children need it, you should be able to say it's 100% safe and they absolutely need it. If you want to mandate shit, remove that liability shield. Take it the fuck away. It's insane to me to even think that any industry, that like an industry can hurt you. You could try to sue them and the government steps in and be like, whoa, you can't do that to them. Fuck you. Fuck that. Like, that's ridiculous. The government should not be able to tell you who you cannot hold accountable for hurting you, especially when the government is the one that tells you need to fucking have this shit. How is that freedom? How is that the constitutional republic of the United States?
natural medicine or food as medicine, it's really increasing exponentially. And so, and in part also because of the incredible work you've been doing, it's amazing to see people go to media, social media, etc., to follow those they trust. And I think that's really a beautiful thing.
Big Pharma is at the all-time low trust that they've ever been. I mean, I think even in a couple of years, they've dropped like 28 points down, even lower.
Good.
What do you think the playbook is now? How are they going to be able to control the narrative? What are they doing in attempts to control the narrative now?
Well, I think that you and I have both observed that certain influencers that are claiming that they're doing, their service and their communications, not because they're being paid, but just because they care so much about sharing the benefits of pharmaceuticals and vaccines and totally attacking natural health. It's clear that there's a lot of money under the table that's being exchanged. And I know that recently there was even an investigative piece of Dr. Mike, which was stunning, that he claimed, hey, I'm not being paid by pharma. And yet there's $1 million, open source example that pharma actually has him as a consultant. So I think that's one.
Dr. Mike is the biggest fucking scam artist in history, in the medical industry. Well, modern history. Rockefeller definitely beats him. But that motherfucker lies constantly. He has absolutely no credibility, but he is also a shining example of how the machine works. That man's credibility and career should have been over. The very second he told everybody to wear a mask, and you must wear a mask. Wear a mask. You should wear a mask is literally how he says it. And then he goes parties with a bunch of fucking people in Miami, no mask, crawling all over each other. Like, he clearly didn't believe what he was telling you to do, what he was paid to tell you to do, and went and did the exact opposite. And dude still has a career. Like, it's silliness, like complete ridiculousness.
One of the ways that they're really trying to manipulate is going direct to certain influencers.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's just like a wave of influencers that are coming out and talking about these talking points. They're not like blatant, buy this drug. They're very carefully crafted messages that navigate through the waters. And if they're talking about, let's say they want to support junk food, they're not going to say the junk food. They'll say there is no bad food. You shouldn't demonize any one food.
Look at you, Lane.
As long as we have it in moderation and you exercise, those cornflakes will be okay. They're actually attacking the.
Here's reality, though, and I don't know if Dr. Berg says this because, again, this is likely the first video I've watched of his. And again, if I don't understand why people expect me to watch all these videos, which is kind of weird. It's not like I'm not doing a bunch of shit, but also I don't understand how like people should think that I should watch people that I agree with. I would much rather watch people that I disagree with than agree with because I want to open my mind. Like these two guys saying the same stuff that I say all the time which by the way, I haven't watched either of these gentlemen, but we obviously have come to very much the same conclusions about a lot of things. So, but the ultra-processed food thing, ultra-processed food are food-like products. They are not food. We should call them ultra-processed food-like products. They should be UPFP, not UPFs. They should be UPFPFs. They should be UPFPs. Jesus Christ, ADHD. Jesus. Anyway. And we should keep track of these. Like, you should keep track. Like, people should be very interested in the percentage of ultra-processed food they put in their body. Because it's very hard to avoid. I will give people that. Like, I do a pretty good job. I eat less than like 5 to, like, not this past week. But yeah, UPFLP, ultra-processed food-like products. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jetman.
Competition. So they're hardcore going after RFK, Maha. They're going after me, going after you. And they try to find something that we said on the internet a long time ago and take it out of context and try to invalidate it. But what they don't realize is that they're just bringing more attention to the people are not stupid. They're bringing more attention to the issue and they end up helping our message. And so they're going deeper and deeper in the ground. I think what I would recommend reaching out to these people, what I would do if I were them, is I would just listen to what people want, come clean, make up the damage, and focus on what people want. They want to be healthy. Let's focus on that rather than trying to tear someone down. And also, people don't want you to take money from big industry or big corporations. They're not going to trust you anymore once they find out. And unfortunately, 95% of all these influencers that are taking money are not disclosing it. And it's just a matter of time.
Just in case any of you are wondering, I take no money from pharma. I take no money from healthcare. I did before. when I worked for healthcare. That's why I don't take money from them now. I was a healthcare executive for a long fucking time, and that's why I know deep down. That's why I left. They're not helping people. It's all money, all money. If you guys want to support me, I would love for you to support me again. Here's the coaching link, and one more time, we have some very exciting things coming. Oh no, I cannot give you that. That is actually one of the exciting things we got coming up. Boom. There we go. 6-month deal. Get on it, people. Get on it. Here we go.
Time before they get found out, because I think there's a $50,000 fine. So unfortunately, they're going to be in big trouble. But it's just all new right now. This is a new thing. This is a new way to control the media, or at least attempts to control the media. And on the good note is it's really helping our cause of just wanting to do natural health and do it more grassroots, because people can see through these things.
I would agree,
Right.
because if they hadn't tried so hard to attack and defame and distort individuals like RFK Jr., there's no way that he would have had the mass popular support that actually got him into the most powerful position to be able to actually implement the reforms that we all know we need. So I think that playbook is now outdated, and even the way that they've tried everything in their power to take me out and to try to hurt me, the reality is I have more people that have been with me on this journey, like yourself, that have provided me so much support. And what I mean by that is spiritually. That's the only thing that has gotten me through this, is people that have cared, who resonate with true statements, and then they go ahead and they join this movement. And so I hope that we can get to a place where Big Pharma eventually realizes that, you don't necessarily need to make 1 million times your profit margin, by.
That ain't never going to happen. It's never, ever, ever going to happen. Big Pharma will never realize that they don't need the money. It's never going to happen. The pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare industrial complex, is the largest, most corrupt criminal organization in the world. Criminal. It's criminal what they do. Absolutely. Anyway, I don't want to hold people too long. I'm going to do a little Q&A too, so I'm going to go boom to this. I've gotten off all medications. I am on supplements, but no medication since I lost 286 pounds. Hero. And she limits ultra-processed food, which is phenomenal. Phenomenal. All right. And I saw somebody ask me about retatrutide earlier. I haven't done much study on it, but here's my thing. Whenever you lose weight by ingesting a pharmaceutical, which is an unnatural substance, I worry, because they have no idea what that is going to do to you 10, 20 years from now. They don't. All these things are brand new to the human experience within the last basically 60 years. 60, 70 years. They're all brand new to the human experience. We have no idea how that is going to affect. Same way we have no idea how ultra-processed foods are going to affect us going forward. I can give you an idea. It is going to look a lot like a combination of Wall-E and Idiocracy. It's going to look like a melding of those two things. So that is what I view. But I hope all of you have a great day. I might be back later on tonight. I doubt it. If not, I will be back tomorrow. And I do believe that me and the doctor, Dr. Alan Chen, are going to have another live tomorrow. I hope so. I will let all of you know. My name is Alan Roberts. Please do pick up the coaching. 6 months, $199.99. We will have you in the best shape of your life by summer. Well, not of your life. We will have you in control of your life, because I don't know. You could have been an athlete, But if you have lost, gained, if you keep weight cycling the same 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds, that's what we specialize in. We will help you build a healthier lifestyle from your current one. We focus on being hunger-free and happy, sustainable weight loss that you keep off forever. We want you to lose the weight this time and keep it off through healthy habits of sleep, stress relief, mindful eating, proper hydration, proper activities for you. And we focus on making sure that you don't feel like you're on a diet. So please do check us up on those. I hope all of you have a great day. My name is Alan Roberts. God damn.